Warning, the voices heard in this video are made synthetically using artificial intelligence. Nothing in this video reflects anything actually stated by the real-life individuals involved. This video is for entertainment purposes only, and serious political content will be avoided for that purpose. Enjoy!
Congratulations, viewers. A cool cinematic climax begins in celebration, but first we have a consolatory cuck quest for our clan.
Starting off with this quest is crazy. Normally, when you do a death notification to the wives in RPGs, the wife just cries and gives us a rare item as a thank you. But in Dragon Age, you notify the wife after she just got done plowing her boyfriend, and she's just like, yeah, I stopped loving that dude a while ago.
What a depressing quest to start the day. But I did end with us in the tavern for Sigrun, so it only makes sense we start with this.
Yeah, I'm picking up some nerdy optimization habits from you and had to start the bad news before the good.
The lore yaps and nerdy optimization just bring out the worst in our playthroughs, it seems.
Was it really better for me to be alone in a strange country, wondering if we'd ever have a family?
Well, now that the cuck news has been delivered, we have some
months
hype
at a time
moments
after
for
there
the
was no
viewers
word.
starting
Was I
with
supposed
going
to
to
wait for
Wade.
Yeah, hold my nuts. It's my episode, Barack. I'll handle the announcements. Viewers, before this episode ends, POTUS will be wielding all three of Wade's masterpiece items. We are starting off with the bright red golem armor switching out from a custode to a blood angel. Now let's go curb stomp some blood mages as a warm-up, shall we?
For context behind the scenes, Donald made it very clear at the end of his last episode that he wanted to handle this quest, which is why we waited till now to tackle it.
Donald ignored therapy and instead went straight towards bullying some low-tier blood mages to work off his mage hideout trauma.
First off, you can join the mages in licking my boots, Sleepy. And second, I needed you two to save some kind of side quest for me to tackle. There's almost nothing in the Black Marsh. I have to bring something hype for the viewers besides Justice's snooze fest of a side quest.
I mean, that's fair. We kind of breezed through most of the content, but I think we still gave the viewers a great highlight reel of Awakening's content, even if we did some side quests off screen.
Joe trying to talk to women be like,
Hey man, I hooked Ogren up in Origins and I'm about to rizz up Harding in a couple of weeks. Don't underestimate me. Former presidents have no limits. And that is especially true in waifu wars.
well, sorry you chose the wrong side, my dear, but as for you, Joe, you know damn well a romance isn't locked in for Veilguard. You got your Dragon Age 2 romance secured, but that shit isn't transferable. And I don't want to tango with some chick who is 3 feet tall on a frequent basis. Marty was enough of a sample.
Well, how about Tash? We haven't had much of a chance to have a female Qunari romance, and it's rumored to be a really steamy romance.
Steamy romance? What kind of weak woke shit is that? I'm not here for it. We are going to put our cards into Lucanus unless one of the waifus can win me over.
Donald, you know that's a man, right?
It's 2024, gender doesn't exist, and I'm here for my mage killing homies first. Templar bros before hoes.
All right, well, that's a dumb argument, but Barack, you tend to be our resident problem solver. How are we going to solve the waifu wars of Veilguard? I doubt we can just defer it until the next game.
We could defer it, but you would be dead by the time Dragon Age 5 comes out, since that's going to be, what, another 10 years? So yeah, any solutions, Barack?
Well, I'm not sure how long this game will take, but how about this? We each get 3 episodes before we lock in a romance. The deciding romance will be who dies the least in those 3 episodes. So, by the 10th episode, we lock in a romance. If the deaths are tied, we start adding points based on bosses' sound fair boys.
Easy goddamn money, Veilguard is gonna be my game. Sleepy Joe here can barely even hold a controller. I won't even have to use 1/10 of my power.
Donald, you are literally the only person who has died in this run, and we are on the last 4 episodes. I'm going to unlock my Warden buff to be on even terms since you suck at Dragon Age, and Barack doesn't have any hours, so he's going in raw.
Phrasing, please.
Well, sounds like we have an agreement, boys. May the best president win well with an honorable Templar's job finished and an easy boss counter to start the day. Let's pull up to the main quest, shall we?
The squad pull-up game is still strong. I have no idea why Cal Hirol cheaped out on a proper entrance for the squad. Also, as soon as Sigrun joined, she got kicked out of the squad.
Once again, bros before hoes. And for once, Barack here will side with me on the best rogue choice in Awakening, since Nate actually has some environmental dialogue specific to the Black Marsh. Also, my beautiful elven wife is dispensing plenty of lore on the Black Marsh. This team is already shaping up nicely.
I wouldn't say best rogue in Awakening, but I do appreciate bringing both Ogren and Nathaniel for their unique interactions. Valana was a decent choice, too. She is the most magically knowledgeable of the bunch, but Anders might have still been more appropriate when first meeting Justice.
Can't argue with that. Honestly, now Anders is going to make a sacrifice for someone he's never had a conversation with. Justice must have passed a high speech check to make that shit happen. Also, I like how the Amaranthine native is the one person who can dispense lore on the Black Marsh. It is a nice touch. And we love to see BioWare stay consistent.
The Black Marsh shows another reason why mages do need some form of training in the circle to prevent magic from literally wiping out a whole village. The Black Marsh might have the thinnest veil we have seen until the events of Inquisition.
I wonder how bad this place becomes during the events of Inquisition and Veilguard. Demons probably colonized the whole damn area, making houses and banks and shit.
This place seems abandoned. Why the hell was Kristoff even here? It's not like the Darkspawn have an encampment or anything of strategic value here. Was Bro just exploring?
We don't have a clear connection. There's an old Machinima Warden's Fall, where Kristoff is investigating kidnappings of refugees. But we don't get a clear connection in game that this was his goal here. His journals just state that he was trying to clear out fringe packets of Darkspawn in the area, and that he heard rumors of one talking and decided to check it out.
You know, we might be getting some get back against the Wardens the Darkspawn killed, but between them getting squad wiped at the keep and Kristoff just sort of wandering around the country searching for vague rumors, I don't think the Wardens had a clear idea on what they were doing or how to solve problems.
Not a far-off statement at all. The Wardens that were sent here come off in Warden's Fall and in game as entirely too complacent, and that's why they were so easy to take care of. To be fair, though, not every Warden has the problem-solving capabilities or experience of POTUS. He's sort of an anomaly.
Hey, don't look now, but it looks like we have some stray werewolves from the forest that didn't get the Lady of the Forest memo that we are on the same side.
Well, I don't think that would matter, since these werewolves are blighted, which does answer a question I know some viewers had. Some people thought the werewolves were immune to the taint and other diseases, just like in Skyrim, but considering the werewolves can be blighted, that confirms they are just as susceptible as everyone else, which does pose further problems for our wereboys in the forest.
I'm sure our spirit waifu has a plan for that, so we are big chilling. Also, Donald, you might have to take back what you said about the Black Marsh. There's actually a decent set of side content here. We have the scavenger hunt, which gives Corrin's proposal a ring that gives a +2 to all stats. We have the dragon bone hunt, and we have the cat gut for our Heartwood shield and the unique Ogren gift.
Yes, and only 2 of those quests actually have an interesting payoff, Joe. That being said, once we give Unk over here his unique gift, I'm going to make a brief stop at the keep to tackle his companion quest, since the gift should push ahead with just enough approval to get the good ending. While I'm there, I'll also wrap up the kleptomaniac's arc, since some people like her, and of course, get our long-awaited Heartwood shield.
We are going into the second half of this dungeon, fully decked out. We have the Golem armor, Heartwood shield, and Paragon stout runes on POTUS. I'm pretty sure there's not anything outside of the Harvester that can out-tank us at this point.
I'm sure Donald will find a way. Just you wait, Barry.
Eat a dick, Joe. Also, here is your pony, Unk. May it fearlessly carry you into stampeding all that stand before you.
Ogren being surprised that we listened to him when he was drunk is just one of the reasons why it feels like we are playing a different character. Instead of POTUS, we were legit war buddies with Ogren in Awakening, and we listened to all his feelings about being exiled, but here he's surprised about us listening to him at all.
I do agree that is a pretty glaring issue with his character, but that's a symptom of Awakening as a whole, and also a game constraint, since there is no way to transfer approval. Even modders had to implement a workaround. That doesn't directly transfer. Besides this inconsistency, Ogren's story is very consistent for his character. In Origins, we see Ogren dealing with an inferiority complex because of his trauma with Branka. and how his whole family and his city turned against him. Ogren felt like he had nothing to lose until the warden gave him something to fight for again. Now, when Ogren tried to settle down with his new family, his self-doubts crept back up, and he decided to run away towards familiar ground-fighting Darkspawn.
What was the major breakdown in his relationship? Felsi didn't seem nearly as bad as Branka.
Ogren got too lost in the sauce and dropped his child twice during the first months of trying to be a family man.
Hey, that's nothing to beat yourself up over. I've dropped all of my kids, and they all turned out fine.
That does explain a lot.
Well, we can't fix his train wreck of a relationship, bro. Still has to get over his ex before trying to date again. But we can encourage him that he would be a great father if he just makes the effort. One of the most wholesome aspects of this is the warden proof reads the letters Ogren sends to his son.
The warden and Ogren's friendship is one of the best in the series. It's right up there with Hawk and Varric.
Ogren came first, though, so he wins. Anyway, here's the kleptomaniac's goodbye scene. Looks like she's going to do something useful. Clear out all the Darkspawn in the deep roads with her warden buff.
I hope you don't think I've abandoned the lead.
Looks like Sigrun and Ogren have more in common than their banter would suggest. Both of them love fighting, and both have an inferiority complex that they have to work through.
Not a bad take. Joe, only difference is that Ogren's inferiority complex is more self-imposed after losing his wife and caste, whereas Sigrun grew up casteless and never had pride, so she is trying to earn it for the first time in the Legion. I suppose in layman's terms, Sigrun is more actively searching to cure her feelings of inferiority, whereas Ogren sort of stews in it and has to be dragged out. Still, I shouldn't glorify what Sigrun is doing here. She is trying to die, and self-harm should be addressed as such.
Isn't that kind of dramatic, Barack? Is Sigrun's whole goal really an allegory for self-harm?
Maybe not a direct parallel, but Sigrun only leaves for her calling in the epilogue if you don't befriend her and give her a purpose in life. If you do befriend her, the epilogue has POTUS give her a slew of urgent missions to distract her from taking her long walk in the deep roads. After several years, Sigrun only jokes about her death and stops trying to seriously leave. It's probably one reason why a lot of people like Sigrun. I'm sure many of us struggled with mental health at one point before someone or something pulled us out of it.
Probably for a lot of people it was because they wanted to see how One Piece ended.
Honestly, instead of love-bombing the kleptomaniac, we should have started her up on the One Piece anime that would have bought us 20 more years at least.
Well, I was trying to be serious for a moment, but I guess we are back to the jokes with Sigrun's arc over. Let's go get a shield worthy to be used by POTUS.
Wait, I love you, but did you seriously just ask if the ultimate big back POTUS wanted a bow? The fuck do you think I am? Let's take a step back and see this beauty, and obviously I'm gonna slap the Eoducan heraldry on it as is custom, but what are the stats for the shield nerd Bama?
So the shield gives 15% damage absorption, 20% physical resistance, 15 defense, and dodge chance. Combine that with everything else we have, and our survivability is insane. I think we could stand in front of a high dragon for 10 minutes and still be alive to fight back.
And we are only 2/3 there. We still have to grab Vigilance and have it boost our defense even more.
I thought me and you were going to compromise with how we build Vigilance. Donald, didn't you say you value my input?
Yeah, that was a lifetime ago before you rigged the competition, you sneaky bitch. Now I'm doing things my way.
Actually, build it the way you want, big dog. You're probably going to need it the way these dogs are tearing through our backline. Both your favorite characters just got bodied.
Oh, goddammit.
I'm fine with it either way, but I do have to agree. Getting the defense buff is the best. Getting extra dodge chance is insane for our defense build. Also, while we have some spare time before the plot, do you have a comment question prepped for us, Donald?
Well, since we are finishing the last main quest today, let's stay on topic, shall we? Viewers, since we are about to meet our last companion out of all 6 awakening companions, which one is your favorite? Either because of their introduction or banter dealer's choice on that one, but as for me, I have to give it to my boy Nathaniel. It's already incredible writing that BioWare got me to care about a character whose last name is Howe. But this dude not only has a whole growth arc in this game, but he actually apologizes for his previous behavior, which, as Joe says, is rare as hell in a BioWare game. Combine all of that with the fact he has a really good, unique weapon, the Howe Bow, and an amazing cameo in Dragon Age 2, and you have a top-tier companion in the series.
Valid pick. Donald can't argue with Nathaniel's growth, but as for me, I have to give it to Sigrun. Not only is she one of the most versatile companions in the game, being both a tank and damage-dealing rogue, but earning her friendship greatly changes her outcome, since if you don't befriend her, she will literally die in the deep roads. But on the other hand, befriending her gives her a new purpose in life, which feels much more impactful to earn her friendship. Also, I find her jokes and sarcasm endearing and adorable.
Good picks, boys. As for my pick, I have to give it to Mommy Valana. Not only is she an excellent transition for my girl Meryl by giving us plenty of Dalish lore, but befriending her becomes far more impactful considering how hostile Valana is at the start. She goes from attacking and trying to kill us to seeing the commander as a close confidant, which helps her slowly change her viewpoints on different races during her time in the Wardens, as the epilogue shows. Also, she's a total baddie. And I would love to be suffocated by her chest or choked by her thighs, being honest.
Oh, God damn it, Joe.
Absolutely valid. Take Joe. Well, viewers, let us know your favorite companion in the comments below. Our editor will respond to every single one, and he will feature his favorite comment next episode. But with that being said, Barack Mind, featuring our favorite comment from last episode.
Sure thing, Donald. Our featured comment comes from John Zahn, who said their favorite bow is the bow of the dragon from Inquisition. We personally couldn't remember any Inquisition weapon that left an impression on us, but we have to admit the bow of the dragon is a really cool design with dragon wings on both ends, and the fact that you can heavily customize the weapons in Inquisition does give them a unique feel. They also mentioned one day wanting to get a custom-made dragon bow in real life, which would be sick as hell. If you ever get an update on that, you should post it in our Discord. We would love to feature it. Thank you again for your comment, and I can't wait to hear who your favorite companion in Awakening is.
Well, with the comment question asked, we should get back to the gameplay. Donald has been getting clapped up by werewolves, and now he is apparently blind to the dead body in the middle of the floor.
I'm not blind, Joe. I see our man taking a power nap on the floor. I just don't want to be locked into the Fade 3, Cherry Blossom Iced Tea, while we still have some side quests to finish. I want to finish up the scavenger hunt quest first.
Not a bad idea at all. If you get sent to the Fade before finishing this quest, you can encounter a bug where you can't click on any clues to continue the quest. Also, unfortunately, this proposal didn't turn out too well for our brother Corin here.
Well, yeah, he got sent to the Fade before he got lucky, right?
No genius we can see in her rejection letter that she couldn't stand the first letter of the scavenger hunt where my boy made the subtle joke that she tends to his rooster and she broke up with him. Girl fumbled her way out of a proposal.
She wasn't the one, bro.
Damn hope he got lucky with a desire demon after that one.
All right, now with the ring grabbed, let's go check on our sleeping warden.
Oh my God, they killed Kenny.
You mean Christoph Joe?
Christoph.
Well, now we have our revenge reason to spin the block in Black Marsh. All these darkspawn signed their death warrants the moment they killed our warden in arms. Who wants the first suplex? I see we have several volunteers.
Looks like our daily flavor of darkspawn is the red team today.
Is there any reason we are letting this guy yap? Maybe Paragon Joe would let him talk, or Barack would want to hear his lore. But me personally, the second the talking darkspawn walked up to me, I'm suplexing his ass or holding his head under the murky water.
We got to hear his story first and how much he loves his mom, Donald.
But she is most clever. Oh, yes, that she is.
Bro is hyping up his mom more than a LeBron Glazer.
The first? It looks like Darkspawn have the same creativity as YouTube commenters.
Please don't insult our YouTube commenters, Donald.
Okay, Donald kind of has a point. Why are we not murder knifing this dude? If we actually tried, Bro would already be on the floor.
I am begging BioWare for a renegade interrupt.
I call bullshit to whatever magic he used here. We are a Dwarven Templar with Beyond the Veil. Up, we should be almost immune to whatever he's doing.
It's a cutscene, Joe. He could have squad wiped our whole team if he wanted to, just like that Win cutscene. We should be lucky all he did was cast a spell.
Looks like Bro didn't read the fine print on his little Fade device since his ass is now stuck too.
I think Bro did more damage to himself than to us. This is just an average Tuesday for POTUS, but the first seems actually hurt that the mother lied to him.
She has deceived me. I am betrayed.
Can never trust my mother.
Ogren out here dispensing some dad lore about his own mom, too.
I just love taunting this guy. He's probably the most pathetic of the talking darkspawn we face. The Withered Squad wiped the Wardens, and the Lost got a cool lava golem, Whereas this guy just gets stuck in his own trap and betrayed every damn turn. I'd feel bad if he wasn't trying to kill us.
How the hell did the Darkspawn get a portable Fade sending device? That seems like almost anchor-level power right there.
We don't really know. There are several ancient elven devices that can directly send people to the Fade, probably made after Solace created the Veil, but we don't really see what he used. Darkspawn have an odd connection to the Fade, since that's how the Taint originally was brought into the world, so perhaps the Mother just created something that could send everyone into the Fade. If it was an ancient artifact, I think there would be more proof of that.
When you talk about magical artifacts, are you referring to the concept of Inuthenera that we started learning about in Origins?
Oh God, Joe, now you got him started.
Well, I'll be brief, but elves continued the practice of trying to achieve perfection and immortality in the Fade, even after the Veil was created. So it's very likely many mages did this with the help of artifacts. This practice was kept up until the fall of Arlathan, which still was about 2,000 years ago. But some artifacts of that time could still remain.
Well, no matter how we got here, we somehow have two dwarves in the Fade, and Ogren is crashing out right now. If we brought him in the Circle Tower quest, he would have additional dialogue complaining about why there aren't oiled wenches anytime he comes here, and that the demons that look like oiled wenches just want to kill you.
Dwarves seem to have a natural uncomfortability with the Fade since they're not supposed to be here. Even Varric gets a bit jumpy in the Fade.
That is my one regret in our current playthrough, since that scene is great dialogue enrichment. But if you want to see the scene where Ogren returns to the Fade, you should watch our editor's Awakening analysis. He shows the whole scene with no yaps.
Well, thank you for shilling Barak, but I guess it's time I start doing my Fade adventure to complete the trilogy. It's kind of crazy that we balanced the Fade sections out so evenly that we each did one section. Joe did the child adventure in Redcliffe. Barak did the long and tedious section that no one likes. And now I'm doing the updated Fade section where we get all the upgrades but none of the tedious puzzles.
This is certainly the most safe Fade section of the three, since the only gameplay change is interacting with objects to affect the Black Marsh in the waking world. I kind of wish we kept our party and we keep the Fade shape shifting from Broken Circle to solve a few puzzles. That way I could say this section is a complete improvement from Broken Circle. But as it is, all I can say is they could have changed this dungeon to any non-Fade dungeon with demons, and it wouldn't change anything. At least Broken Circle gave you the impression of being in a dream world.
Yeah, they do that perfectly, since the Origins Fade section put us all to sleep in real time as well as in-game.
Speaking of putting us to sleep, Donald, I thought you were expert at puzzles. You seem to be struggling there, big dog.
Eat a dick, Joe. I got this. I just need some space to focus. Since this damn puzzle defies all logic, you would think the logic would be the pillars that are shortest, first then tallest, but then they switch it up at the very end for some damn reason.
Well, while Donald is figuring it out, how would you like to hear some lore about what these stones were actually used for?
I know you were going to say it anyway, so go off, Queen.
So as we probably know, the reason the Black Marsh became a veil-torn abandoned mess is because the leader of the fishing village was a Baroness of Orlais during the Ferelden occupation. Not only was she given these lands during the occupation, but she was a blood mage who was sacrificing the children of her village for eternal youth and power. When the villagers found out about this, they went Freddy Krueger on her ass and burned her manor down. The Baroness, being a poor sport, sundered the veil and sent the entire village and herself into the Fade. Guess where the Baroness did her sacrificial rituals with children, though?
She used these stones, but then the rage demons we just fought?
Yep, they are likely the remnant of the sacrificed children.
I feel really uncomfortable doing this quest now.
Hey, we needed to solve the puzzle for the loot. It's not my fault. BioWare included unaliving the remains of children to get the gladiator belt.
Anything for the upgrades, I suppose. Also good work, grabbing all the skill point increases. Donald, fun fact for the viewers behind the scenes between the Paragon Stout runes, items, and the skill increases. POTUS has now reached 100 Constitution and is close to reaching 100 Dexterity too. The defense buffs are now officially Galaxy tier.
By the way, Donald, I see you gave Valana Mana Clash for the demons. That's some high IQ gameplay. Looks like you paid more attention to the tier list than you like to admit.
Yeah, write a book, Sleepy. It's the one thing you bring to the table in this Dragon Age series. So good work. I honestly could use Fade Burst too, but it takes such a damn long time to charge up while Mana Clash is goddamn instant.
Perfectly valid, like we said in the spell tier list. There are certain sections where Mana Clash can solo the entire dungeon, and anything with demons is one of those times. Probably one of the few times in Awakening where Mana Clash solos as hard as it does in Origins.
Looks like we found a lost waifu in the Fade.
Hey, I give her a 5 out of 10. She's a bit bland, but still, I guess she will do.
She will do is insane. Also, this is a bit of a weird scene we only learn later that no one in the village should be aware of what happened in the outside world. So the trick here doesn't really work since we have no way of knowing she is tricking us. Usually when BioWare does tricks like this, there's enough rope that a perceptive player can catch and hang the trickster instead.
I think we are just willing to risk it, Barry, regardless of the trap.
Well, while we fight some undead, we have two small announcements. First off, we won't be doing the Dragon Age Keep video anymore, given the announcement that only 3 choices will be carried over into Veilguard from Inquisition. So apologies to those that wanted that video second. All 3 of us have finalized options for what class and origin we want to play in Veilguard, and that poll will go up after this video's release. So make sure to vote in our community tab if you care about who you want to see us play in Veilguard.
It's a good thing we kept Topsiders' honor on us from Origins, because this next section is nothing but undead, and I'm already feeling bored. Being honest, there's no new enemies here.
Well, let's see if following the waifu gets your attention.
And so you came, fell into my little trap.
Not again. You have a knack for stumbling into traps, don't you?
You know, I can't even argue with Valana here. That's just a very valid statement.
I have to give props to the demon. This thing knew POTUS's main weakness, besides his stubby legs, and knew that we would fall right into the trap.
Who the hell is we? I don't remember the President's Play Dragon Age series being dubbed in French.
Barry, if this hunger demon was posing as a red-haired guy with a beard in his mid-30s, I already know you would be skipping down the crypt to meet them. Also, I guess Donald figured this was a boss encounter.
I'm powered by the Dragon Age wiki. I'm not missing any boss opportunities that come my way. I only have this episode and Witch Hunt to secure my title, and by Sandel, I'm going to do it.
Ironically, this is the more benevolent outcome anyway. It makes sure there's one less demon in the world to harm people, and it also frees the girl that the demon was possessing.
I'd be more interested in that if she could thank us personally, and if it wasn't her own damn fault for agreeing to a deal with a demon to be here. If you ask me, girl got whatever she deserved, and I guess POTUS is doing his occasional act of mercy by freeing her.
I guess blind vengeance with occasional mercy is one way to be a hero. At least there's one less demon around, and we got a more satisfying ending than just scaring the demon off.
After being trapped for so long by my own foolish desires, now I can at last go. Thank you.
Looks like we finally made it to the Village Boys. And let me just say, BioWare did a good job of environmentally showing how much of a nightmare this situation is for everyone. Most of the people are stuck in a fade loop with no concept of how much time has passed and are living a never-ending nightmare, constantly searching for their lost children.
This scene is probably the biggest defense towards Logain's paranoia of Orlais in Origins. If the occupation allowed stuff like this to be legal, I wouldn't trust anyone with a French accent either.
I almost wish we could have picked up Logain for this quest so he could spin the block with his favorite enemy.
I mean, I don't think anyone trusts Orlesians on principle. The game barely gives us a reason to. It's more so the fact that Logain was fighting the wrong enemy, while the Darkspawn were casually taking his lands left and right. Also, here's our last squad mate, and it looks like he is trying to out-ghost POTUS right now.
Justice is an odd character to analyze compared to the rest of the squad. He obviously isn't immortal like everyone else, and furthermore, he views the world as black and white instead of morally gray, which is counteracted by much of Origin's moral decisions presenting as gray. Justice would have been an interesting character to have in the party during base Origins or 2, but in Awakening there's really only 2 major moral decisions to make, which is the Architect decision and the Valana decision, both of which he is very absolute in his thinking and has no room for negotiation, which does track with the spirit of justice.
I mean, technically there is 3 moral decisions we can choose to side with the Baroness or Justice here, and we don't lose approval from Justice for siding with her either. And Justice is too distracted by him being in a new body to care about our choice either. We can either get a single ability score increase, or we can learn blood magic from her if we haven't already.
Joe, if you think I'm siding with the Orlesian blood mage, you must be hitting Hunter's supply again. Especially if the girl is only going to give us one skill point. What is it with BioWare and not rewarding evil choices? The Tevinter blood mage in the Alien Age only gave one constitution point, and now the Baroness only gives us 1.2. I swear to God, there are only a handful of evil choices in this game that are rewarding to make. I can't embrace my true renegade dwarf boys.
I think most evil choices have fair rewards, but Dragon Age could always do more to reward evil playthroughs. As for the Blood Mage rewards, I know we clowned on them in the Landsmeet episode. But now that I see the same trend happening in Awakening, I'm wondering if this was all intentional on BioWare's part. Essentially showing that even though blood mages are powerful, they are also inherently selfish and aren't willing to give more than the most basic of boons to their allies. And they show that in-game by only making the rewards for helping other blood mages be a single skill point.
That makes blood mages sound like Sith Lords almost. And considering BioWare's love of old Star Wars, that would definitely track. However, the reward still sticks it to players, though, even if that was BioWare's intention. Also, Donald, our girl Valana, wants to side with the Baroness. Doesn't that make her silly little blood magic seem minor?
Valana currently isn't putting out, so I'm not about to betray my sacred Templar duty just yet. If this blood mage wants our Dwarven Templar spirit warrior POTUS on her side, she better start pulling out bans, not a flimsy ability point.
Joe Arndt, you're supposed to be the paragon of the group here normally. I'm the one trying to show the road less traveled.
I am. I'm just trying to get Donald to betray his Templar oath by playing optimally so I can make fun of him for it later.
You can't stop dominant Donald from the Templar grind. Sleepy better just keep your day job because you are not cut out for that desire demon life. Also, back to what you were saying, Barack, I don't think justice fits in this game well with his basic view of morality, so including him in a longer story would only make him more of a bland companion, not one that is more in-depth. I'm glad Veilguard isn't trying for a third spirit companion. They are always these unsettling entities that seem more like liabilities than actual allies.
Donald, you are stepping into the firing squad with that one. Insulting justice is kosher, but don't insult Cole. He is a very good noodle.
Cole has that dog in him. I will give him his props for being a good killing machine. But the fact we have to do a whole-ass quest just so he can face the final boss is just not it. And Cole always just seemed like this unstable nutcase, just like the other spirits. It's why I always make him more human, so he can finally become a member of the squad and not some crazy mascot that we keep around.
Very controversial take, Donald. I'm pretty sure Cole is a massive fan favorite. Although I will say you brought up another good point. Both spirit companions follow a similar trend, that the longer a spirit remains on the other side of the veil, the more they are changed and altered. Justice, through merging with Anders, becomes a spirit of hatred and vengeance, and Cole either stays a spirit and eventually leaves the mortal world, or changes to become more human and ends up staying in the mortal world. It goes to show that even though this world once was inhabitable by spirits, now that the veil exists, the world is no longer a place where spirits can exist, even when introduced to the mortal world, without greatly changing who they are first, which perils evolutionary adaptation almost, but that's a yap for a future episode.
Thank God, because the combat's about to start and I was not looking forward to a goddamn biology documentary on spirits, bro. It was about to turn into the egg for a moment.
I'll just save it for Veilguard, where I'm sure it will be far more relevant. Also, last bit of unique Orlesian Warden dialogue, the Baroness will recognize you as Orlesian almost immediately if you choose that origin, and she will be far more cordial with you if that is the case.
Cordiality with Orlesians is always just a trap at the end of the day, so we are not missing anything with that one.
It is more dangerous than you know.
Oh, as you wish, creature. Slay them, and you shall have the reward you requested.
Enough!
Also on one side, we have 4 Grey Wardens, and on the other side, we have some basic-ass Darkspawn G. I wonder who's going to come out ahead here.
Well, one of those Darkspawn does have a Grey Warden buff, and he has a sword with 2 points.
Skyrim mentioned.
We also have some lore-breaking ash wraiths that definitely shouldn't be here now that we know how they are created. Don't crash out too hard about them, Barry.
Oh, don't worry. I've been over that lore break. BioWare created a specific ritual for these things, and then the game designers throw them in all the DLCs just because they look cool. It's not worth losing sleep over, pun intended.
And the award for the lamest pun goes to you, Barack. Also, Unc, I love you, but you need to do better than this. You just got dropped in a damn 1 versus 8. The fraud allegations are creeping up on you.
By the way, Donald, this boss fight doesn't count. The Baroness stole the kill from you.
Absolutely not. His health dropped to 0, and now I'm tied with you with a few more bosses to go. I'm not losing that easily, Sleepy.
Well, the first has been betrayed by 2 mother figures in one day. If he wasn't being killed off here, his therapy bills would be soaring. We truly spared him a fate worse than death. Also, sometimes you can execute the first before this cutscene plays, and he can talk in this cutscene without a head. It's really goofy.
Speaking of goofy, it's worth pointing out that the only reason the mother fumbled is because she betrayed her children too. If she just sent us in the Fade, we would have most definitely been cooked.
To be fair, we will see in a minute, she genuinely didn't think she was betraying the first. When she sent him to the Fade, she thought she was helping him. Also, we just got insanely lucky here. The stars completely aligned. So we could get out, not much else to say.
Well, we always knew that POTUS's luck stat is almost as high as his constitution. That's how Bro pulled a goth girl baddie while only being 3 feet tall himself.
What? Where am I?
Honestly, Justice, I feel the same way when I wake up after only getting 15 hours.
That's hilarious, Joe, but here we have our last companion, and he's a goddamn zombie.
He is a surprisingly tanky zombie, probably thanks to the Grey Warden buff and the lack of nerve endings. Also, goddamn, I just noticed it was raining this whole time. We must have been asleep in the rain for hours. I just know all of us are about to have a wicked cold tomorrow.
To be fair, it wasn't raining when we fell asleep, so I think it just started raining when we woke up for dramatic effect.
Either that or a Kyogre with drizzle is nearby.
That was a very classy Pokemon reference. Joe also, apparently Justice has a built-in demon detector. In addition to his new Darkspawn detector, Bro, is the ultimate home defense system.
She is not immortal as you are, or as were the villagers she kept trapped.
Oh, she's a demon? Well, that's easy goddamn money for the Templar POTUS. Just point the way, Justice.
That is a demon
We can
of
take her
pride.
down with one good
She
holy
assumed that
smite.
role long ago
So when
to
did the
feed
Baroness
the
become a
mortals she
pride
trapped.
demon anyway?
But
Was she
here,
always
in
one?
your world,
I doubt she was always a pride demon.
she
A
will
pride
be
demon
quite
wouldn't have sent
something
themselves and
else.
the people into the Vale. Most demons would rather die than leave the mortal realm.
She has
If I had
power
to
enough
guess,
cause great
once
havoc
the
in your
Baroness
world.
realized she was trapped in the Fade,
The
she
veil
tried
is
to
sundered,
bargain with a
and the
demon to leave
tears
the
must
Fade,
be
and that's
closed
how
lest
she
they
became
continue to
possessed.
spill demons
Sounds
out
like a
into
massive
this
skill
world.
issue
I
for
can
the
alter your
rogue.
weapons for a time,
Also, who needs
allowing
the
them to
anchor when
drive back
Justice
the
can
Fade's
just
magic.
enchant
But
our
if we are to
weapons
deal with the
to
Baroness,
close
we
veiled
must
tears the
move
old-fashioned way?
If the Warden saw the Inquisitor able to close breaches just with pure force magic, he would definitely have a boomer moment of saying how back in his day, we had to just stab Fade portals till they closed.
Awakening looks more and more like a beta version of Inquisition. Every episode, the similarities between the two are just too numerous to be a coincidence. Also, we can get the complete set of Sentinel armor from the Fade chests. I already talked about it during a comment question, but the Sentinel armor is my personal favorite armor set in the series. Not only does the sleek black armor with the red glow look incredible, but this armor in lore was the original armor used by the Grey Warden who killed Dumat during the First Blight, which explains why in-game it looks like Grey Warden armor that has been heavily corrupted by the taint over the 1,200 years since it was worn. Even though there are more optimal armors in this game, I would still slap it on POTUS if this was a solo run, just for the style and thematic reasons.
Yeah, well, its presidents play Dragon Age, not Obama plays Dragon Age, so we are going to slap the edgy armor on Justice and keep it pushing. Because I'm personally enjoying the Blood Angel's look with the gold trim for POTUS.
Well, that's fine too, because we gave him the gladiator belt from the stone puzzle earlier, and those two items go beautifully together, both offering strength and crit chance buffs.
Sentinel armor is my usual go-to set for arcane warriors, for the goated defensive stats and crit chance. Although I think we have shown in this series that building your arcane warrior as more of a defensive cleric is the optimal play instead of a swordsman that occasionally uses magic.
Thank you, Joe. I'm glad someone appreciates my favorite armor. Well, with the armor collected and our 10th Revenant killed, let's go. Kill the Baroness.
How very dull it seems. So immutable and unchanging. Yet, I am here. I have crossed the veil. The spirits will watch in envy as the mortals of this realm bow down before me.
That will not happen, demon.
Ah, it seems I was not the only one to be drawn here. How very tiresome.
What's up, demon wench? I see you gloating about your victory right before you get clapped up a classic villain trope. Don't think that just because your name is a gender-bent version of my youngest son that I'm gonna go easy on you.
So wait, if Baron was a girl, would you have called her Baroness Trump?
Yes, but only because Melania wouldn't let me get away with naming her Morrigan.
Jesus Christ, we are going to move past that fuster cluck. Well, while the boss transforms into her final form, I guess we can talk about the boss mechanics of this fight. It's mostly a standard Pride demon fight, but she does have two special abilities that at least change up gameplay. She can summon more Inquisition Fade portals during the fight, and those need to be prioritized immediately so your party doesn't get overwhelmed by the endless shades. Also important to note that since the enemies from these portals are in fact infinite, it is technically a messy way to get unlimited experience to max level. I couldn't recommend this method personally, but it's an option if you wanted to quickly get a new Awakening character to max level early. She also spends a lot of her time walking around because she has a few scripted places she is supposed to be, including breaking open the gate halfway through the fight. So it's really easy to get free damage on her, and sometimes finish her off before she even opens the gate to the courtyard.
I feel like this is the most straightforward of the three main quest fights, Barry. The sequel to the Themey fight had a lot of annoying disengage and overwhelm mechanics that made it longer. And the Lava Golem fight had a lot of interesting setup combos to it. This is just a Pride demon with two new abilities, but it's not that much different from the Uldred fight, being honest.
I feel like the main reason this fight feels much more simple when compared to the others is because the Baroness is one fight, not two. And you're also right, Barry, she spent 2/3 of the fight just waddling around before she finally decided to start sucking POTUS off.
Phrasing, please.
I feel like this scene could be a very funny but poorly titled video on the Hub viewers. Let us know how you would title this scene in the comments below.
No, goddammit, shut up, Joe, and please don't do that, viewers. We don't want to get demonetized. But, wow, Donald, you're really fucking this demon up. You're so good.
Thank you for noticing, Obama. I had to make all the Templar mains proud with this fight, as well as add another boss to my counter. And I'm glad I got some Pride demon practice in before they start appearing every 2 seconds in Veilguard.
God, I really hope they don't mainstream Pride demons more than Inquisition did. Hashtag make Pride demons great again.
God damn it, Joe, that's strike 2 in this series that you've stolen my trademarked catchphrases. It's a 3-strike policy with that shit. So one more time, and I'm gonna have to get my attorneys involved. I don't care how this disrupts our synergy. I've got a brand to protect.
I have no fear, Donald, it's going to take a lot more than the legal system to contain me.
I don't know, Joe. I remember Donald saying that a couple months ago about his court cases, and look where he is now.
Eat a dick, that's only because our court system's idea of justice is just as brain dead as the body that our companion Justice inhabits. But if nothing else, we finally finished all 3 main quests and got our full squad line up.
So wait, how does Justice access Kristoff's memories? It's not like he can just read his mind. Kristoff has been brain dead for at least a few days. Minimum.
I think spirits can just read essence or aura, and that's how we see things like what happened at Cal Hero with the Ghost Theater. Everyone there was long dead, but the spirits were still able to retell events as if they happened in front of them. I get the confusion though because spirits like Cole and the Guardian can just kind of read minds naturally.
To avenge his death. Yes, that would be a purpose. Very well.
Thankfully, it doesn't look like Justice can read minds, so we won't have to get some kind of Magneto helmet quite yet. Well, even though we recruited our final companion and killed the boss, we are far from done with this area, viewers. Now that we have the Baroness key, we can go to the back docks and grab the last dragon bone for the secret boss. I want to replace Justice for Uncle Ogren, though, so we have to make a brief stop at the keep first to swap out our party.
I'm kind of worried about Ogren's survivability in that fight, being honest. Given his performance so far in Awakening, I think Sigrun would be a better substitute personally. But I guess I'm not playing right now, so go off, Queen.
Exactly, stay in your lane, Barack. I am going to clear this fight with 0 difficulty, and then all of you can leisurely lick my left nut when I go Awakening completely deathless.
Well, looks like another werewolf came to skill check you here first, Donald. I like how he immediately jumped POTUS first. Bro knew the real threat.
The dogs in the Black Marsh have no respect for the top dog that is POTUS. It's fine, though, just a brief distraction from my loot fest.
Well, we have our second cutscene with the mother and her darkspawn spy. This scene is way more informative about what her goals are and the reasons behind them. She is going mad from the silence, which references the fact she can no longer hear the call of the archdemons, now that she is awakened. This drove her to madness since the archdemon's call was the only thing keeping her docile and distracted from the memories of becoming a broodmother, since we all know how horrific of a process that is from Laren. It's also interesting she assumed she could give the first piece in the Fade, which implies the Darkspawn either think there are more old gods in the Fade, or they at least know the origin of the old gods. Either way, it's a very interesting link between Darkspawn and the Fade.
The awakened Darkspawn is definitely not helping the traitor allegations. With the way he shifts his focus left and right, you might have a point. This guy definitely isn't loyal.
I mean, after what happened to the first, why the hell would anyone be loyal? She literally just sent the OG talking Darkspawn into the Fade POTUS meat grinder.
Well, I'll be sure to give you some peace next episode, girl. Looks like we have some Jerry Springer drama first, though.
So like, what the hell was Duncan even yapping about saying Grey Wardens have to give up their former life? Because this is the second Orlesian Warden that's married, and Kristoff's wife even stops by the keep for conjugal visits. Hell to add on to that, as we are going to see shortly, in Witch Hunt Our Warden Ghosts, the order for years to be, with Morrigan or Liliana.
I feel like that was Duncan's personal belief about the Grey Wardens, and not the Order's golden rule. Maybe Duncan was just maidenless, and was just trying to make it all of the Ferelden Order's problem.
I feel pretty bad for Aura. Girl was waiting patiently for her husband's return. And not only is he dead, but there's a weird spirit using your husband's face and body. So now you can't even let your husband's body sleep peacefully. That being said, Justice, I can definitely relate to wanting to always help someone when you cause them distress, but sometimes you have to learn that the best thing you can do for them is give them space. I mean, what the hell do we even say to make this better?
Ironically, we don't say anything to her, we just visit her in the city, and she has just sort of gotten over it. Definitely one of the weirder quests out there, but at least it's short, like the rest of the companion quests, so we might as well try.
But should we get the chance
Looks like we have one more errand to add to your list, Donald.
God damn it, of course, I get stuck with the ghost quest too. Fine, I'll help him learn what it means to be a real boy, but I don't have to like it.
You say that, but you're actually catching up with Justice at the keep anyway, Donald. A true tsundere to your core.
Cut the weeb shit, Obama. I couldn't change my party until I entered the keep, so I figured I would get through some of the zombies' dialogue now. Looks like we get to learn about how he wants to touch everything around him.
I guess Donald hating anything that isn't a flesh and blood mortal is just a canon event in every universe.
How does one describe a sensation?
Well, one thing we can all appreciate is that he's focusing most of his righteous hate on the Darkspawn, so he is by definition getting his task done. Isn't that the exact praise we give all our other companions, Donald?
Yes, fine, thank you for doing your task, Justice, but counterpoint, he's a corpse, so he literally smells terrible. Anyway, enough yapping over the gift hint conversations. Let's move on to what the people really came here to see.
I think you mean what you came here to see. We all remember this is your favorite boss, after all, Donald.
Hey, Barry, how many deaths do you think Donald is going to rack up here? I'm thinking at least a solid 3.
I don't know, Joe. Donald's skill level is weird. He handled the Flemeth fight perfectly at low level, but then he gets clapped up to random Daenerys fire traps, so he is really sort of a wild card, being honest.
I'm already going to let you know I will die 0 times in this fight. I have my gamer sups and my nuggets, so the synapses are fully charged. Let's do this, boys. Hey, big girl, thanks for the thumbnail now. It's time to take what's rightfully mine.
Oh, this is going to be hilarious, I can already tell. I'm sure our viewers were hyped for this one. If there was a boss that defined Dragon Age Awakening, It would definitely be the queen of the Black Marsh. Hell, they put her in the trailer and on the Steam page, even though she is supposed to be a secret boss.
Yeah, no, the developers were really proud of this fight, and they should be there. There's a lot of interesting mechanics to this battle that set it apart from every other fight. First off, she has the most health out of any enemy in the game, even beating the Archdemon, which is supposed to be a fight where you have an army on your side. Not only that, but she has a healing mechanic that can really confuse players if they struggle with party management or just aren't aware of the trick that the wisps do heal her. I definitely remember some gamers thinking the wisps were charging an attack and not healing her the first time they saw it. Finally, she does lightning damage, which isn't a normal damage type players encounter, and they might not have proper resistance for it, and considering the arena you fight in is incredibly small, the boss can easily wipe out your backline if you aren't careful. Not bringing Anders for the heals and revives was a choice, Donald. If one party member gets down, this could turn really south.
Well, I don't want to be carried by the robe, Barack. I'm going pure damage, and you're about to see why. When these wisps summon, I don't want to just take them out so he can't heal, but I want to take them out quick enough that I can get plenty of free hits in and lock his AI into trying to heal, since I know he goes into that healing mode 3 times this fight every time you deal 1/4 of his damage.
Bro has been living on the wiki for this very moment. Also, this is the 3rd fight in the game where you can make a high IQ play and use Curse of Mortality on the dragon right before the wisps close in on her to prevent the heal from going off every time. My Arcane Warrior strategy is to focus on damaging her the whole time the wisps are active, and then in the last second putting Curse of Mortality to prevent her healing. It actually can completely stall out the fight.
That's actually kind of based, can't lie, the fact that Curse of Mortality works so well on this fight. I would give it a solid B tier, honestly.
It's useful for this fight specifically, so it couldn't hurt to add it using a tomb and then switch back after the fight was over. But Curse of Mortality is still C tier, only 3 fights in the game, make use of its main effect, and the damage is pretty terrible for a 3rd tier spell. My personal favorite strategy is to bring 2 archers, and when the wisps are summoned, have both of them use Hail of Arrows. The range is big enough that you can hit the large orb and the tiny wisps all at once, and usually 2 Hail of Arrows is enough damage with the right build to finish off everything in the area.
Hail of Arrows is an amazing ability if it didn't do twice as much damage to your party as it did to the enemies.
Massive skill issue, Sleepy just aimed better. Also, Barack, I shouldn't be surprised that your strategy for this fight involves passive bombing while you sit back and watch. That must be like treading old ground for you.
Too political unsubscribed.
Yeah, ride me harder, big dog. Well, we are only halfway through this fight so far, and even Uncle Ogren is alive and putting in work. Since we still have time to kill, you want to go ahead and do your job, Lore Master, when it comes to this fight.
I mean, you could have been nicer about it, but sure thing, I guess. Well, the reason this thing is even here is, unsurprisingly, the Baroness's fault. The Queen of the Black Marsh was originally a high dragon that kept attacking the village of the Black Marsh. So the Baroness was tasked with getting rid of the creature attacking her subjects, since she didn't want to lose her blood magic supply. However, she ended up not being able to kill the dragon herself, so she simply sent the creature's soul to the Fade in a similar manner to how we were sent to the Fade, but our bodies remained in the mortal world. However, the dragon was so powerful that it still caused problems even after losing her body, so the Baroness had her soldiers scatter the bones around the Black Marsh to weaken the creature's presence.
Just another casual L for the Orlesians. A blood mage and her army wasn't even dragon level.
I mean, even though it didn't work out, being able to take out powerful creatures just by sending their souls to another realm is pretty damn crazy.
It certainly makes a war with Tevener, for example, impossible through conventional means, but going back to the Fade trapping, it seems like there was some missing piece of the lore, as both the Baroness and the Queen of the Black Marsh have 2 pieces from the ring set Soulbound and Earthbound. The set offers resistance to most elemental damage, and when both are worn, they give us increased willpower. Funnily enough, though the Soulbound ring gives us more spirit resistance than we can actually have in-game, the description of the ring says it gives 100% spirit resistance, but the in-game limitation on any damage resistance in Awakening is 50%.
All right, cool. I'm glad we can jerk it to the mage rings, but victory is mine, boys. I beat Great Ape Vegeta. I beat Fused Zamasu, and now I've beat the Queen of the Black Marsh, so say it with me, boys.
Boom, easy money. Wait, Bill and George aren't even here. How the hell did you even do that, Donald?
Increased production value?
I wouldn't question it too much, Joe. Instead, let's get hype about the fact we beat the last hidden boss in Dragon Age Origins, and we have a ton of late-game gear to have fun with. The most important being our final boss loot with Vigilance, but we also get the Torque of Oblivious, which might be the best mage cowl in the game as well.
I'm obviously going to stick it on Elf Mommy, but now that the peak of the content is finished, we might as well finish up the zombie's personal quest. I have to pick up some supplies in Amaranthine to make Vigilance anyway.
This on paper should be an absolutely terrible decision. I'm just surprised Aura didn't crash out immediately after seeing Justice here and start throwing holy water on Justice or something. Girl is better than me.
Her level of understanding is just far beyond human comprehension. But I mean, we are lucky that this situation is so easy to resolve, because we have to finish this Darkspawn war now, so we can't really take the time to pay for a therapist to work out the drama here.
Wait, hang on. Joe has a point here. Why don't more people react horrified to Justice being in our party? He is a literal walking corpse. Shouldn't more NPCs try to attack him, or at least act disgusted by the smell or something?
I mean, we are the literal Arl of the Holden hero of Ferelden. I don't think questioning or attacking a member of our squad would ever be a good idea. That being said, most people don't even seem to notice Justice as a dead body. The bartender in the tavern, for example, calls Justice Christoph and asks if he wants his usual, not realizing he's dead.
Well, to be fair, that makes more sense. Girl's probably in hour 9 of her 10-hour shift. She could be serving the archdemon and not notice. Looks like Justice is a fellow Andraste enjoyer as well.
You think the Fade has a bunch of Andraste cosplayers? We know that spirits of faith love to take the form of religious idols like the divine Justinia spirit we see in Inquisition.
Their form probably switches out a lot given how chaotic Justice describes the Fade here. Also, that line about taking for granted the structure of our world is going to age really poorly when a certain egg-shaped elf takes a 1,000-degree knife to the veil.
Well, we just have a few more scenes before we wrap up Justice's arc. I don't have much to say about the zombie. He's optimally always recruited last in Awakening, and the only reason people remember this guy is all the wild shit he makes Anders do in the sequel. So I got nothing.
Justice, you are not a good boy, but you probably inspired the concept of coal. So thanks for that, Unk.
Well, I have one last bit of cut content I can dish out on Justice. Originally, when writing Dragon Age 2, the writers had the idea that Valana was going to be the Justice fusion instead of Anders. The idea was Valana would allow Justice to live through her as a form of redemption for what she did to the merchant caravans. This in turn would have likely shifted the Anders and Justice plot about mage oppression to focus more on elven oppression, given that is what Valana and Justice both related to in party banter. The writers probably scrapped this because the mage versus Templar debate flowed much better in the story of Kirkwall, and that's when they went with Anders.
Damn, we could have had an updated Elf Mommy and 2 Donald.
God damn, that might be BioWare's biggest fumble in the series, being honest. Hell, updated Valana might have pushed me over to thinking Dragon Age 2 was the best in the series.
So you two have no opinion about the lore implications?
Nope.
Whatever, let's just go get our final piece of legendary gear then.
The sound is something only a spirit could hear, but it summons an ache I didn't know I had.
With pleasure, viewers, we already grabbed everything we need, so now it's the moment I'm sure we have all been waiting for, given all the comments. Last episode, I can tell, Vigilance is our community's overall favorite weapon. And Joe, you mentioned earlier how you wanted raw power and Wade's suggestion, right?
Yes, Donald, I did indeed suggest that I think that's the most optimal.
All right, well then I'm going flexible and aiding in defense for the augments, and you can go fuck yourself, Sleepy. How does that sound?
Prick.
All right, needlessly hostile, but here it is, boys. The absolute strongest sword in all of Dragon Age. After almost 30 hours of gameplay, we finally have reached POTUS's peak performance.
Oh God, there it is. It's so goddamn beautiful. I've held a lot of things in my hands, boys, but nothing more precious than this sword.
Don't you have 5 kids, Donald?
Yes, what about them?
Jesus Christ, well, thank you for handing in the tablet we got back in Cal Hirol. I can't believe I forgot about it. I got really distracted by Sigrun.
I'm sure you did, Suze Bomber.
I mostly turned it in because I wanted my bro Beelan to have more ammunition against the inefficient assembly to set his policies unopposed. But considering we are a paragon of Orzammar, I would assume finding anything that benefits Dwarven history is important to us.
Well, with all three of the legendary items gathered, I think it's time we put an end to this episode. Wouldn't you say, Donald?
Oh, you would love that, wouldn't you, Barack? I'm a president, not a mathematician, but even I can count the fact that I have one less boss. Then you do. We both have a special episode left, too, so I'm not letting you win the competition without a fight. So I'm going to start the end game and kill one more boss so that I'm tied with you. Then even if we end our special episodes tied, I can be satisfied with that.
Donald, the Siege of Amaranthine is supposed to be my episode. If you do this, I'm literally not going to have anything to do next episode. I already know the final battle is nowhere near as long as the Daenerys final battle.
Sounds like a personal issue, Sleepy. I'm not ending this competition on a loss like I did in the Land's Meet. Let's get it.
Nothing we can do about it, Joe. Just means we can do the final episode largely unedited at this rate.
What is it, girl?
A Darkspawn army is within sight of Amaranthine.
Sigrun, you're going to have to wear a better elf disguise than that I can tell it's you through the voice.
Yeah, this one is almost as funny as the Mark Meer mercs that attacked Dr. Mitchell's clinic in Mass Effect 1. Still, it's not as bad as every single character in Oblivion being voiced by Wes Johnson.
I know she's a traitor, but maybe Van Esmeralda had a point about defending the cities because now Amaranthine is cooked.
It was cooked regardless of which path we defended. The Darkspawn and Amaranthine are still at blight strength, and we only have one single Arling of troops. The only way we would have been okay is if Alistair actually gave us troops, or we could use our blight treaties again, but sadly we didn't get either.
All right, I know who we pick matters, since most of the companions don't make it if we save the city, so who should I go with, Barack?
Well, we need Valana for the extra content at the Dragonbone Wastes, and we should also take Nathaniel, since if he's not in our party when we export into Dragon Age 2, his quest won't trigger properly. After that, the last two companions at risk are Sigrun and Justice, and you know who I have a preference for.
All right, Elf Mommy, the kleptomaniac, and my boy Nathaniel. It is time to finish this fight, boys.
The Vigil's ale supply is safe. Leave a few Darkspawn skulls for me to kick in, right?
If I ever had doubts of you, they are erased. Fight nobly, and if you die, die with honor.
Oh, I miss out on the suicide mission. Oh, life can be so unfair. But, good luck. Chin up and all that?
The rest of us will stay here. Make her protect you and hold you close, Commander.
Squad pull-up game is still on point. Also, we are finishing the game with each of our favorite companions in the squad. That's a pretty big coincidence.
I mean, it shouldn't be that surprising. We did the same damn thing at the Battle of Daenerys. Speaking of how do we feel about the goodbyes in this section, boys? Or rather, the lack of the goodbyes, since it's really just one final line from the three members we don't take.
I'm pretty much fine with it. I don't like how BioWare felt like the final goodbyes were a crucial component in Dragon Age just because they were incredibly memorable in Origins. The reason they were so powerful is because your warden had a high chance of actually dying. So putting them in Dragon Age 2 when the Mage Templar battle was just another Tuesday to the squad felt incredibly forced, and it would have felt just as forced here.
Granted, if Exalted March came out, we might have had a very real possibility of some companions or Hawk dying. So maybe it would have been more appropriate during the ending of the expansion.
Let's save the Dragon Age 2 yaps for next year. When we play the sequel, boys, looks like we have a bit of a choice here. I know the fake news media wants you guys to think I always pick the renegade option, but there's almost no goddamn reason to not save the city of Amaranthine, as long as you have been doing your job and upgrading the keep effectively. Literally, both places survive with some casualties, as long as the keep is properly equipped.
That's sort of an oversimplification, Donald. I would say this choice comes down to a more paragon or renegade decision, as the result of saving either comes down to politics. Saving the city paints the wardens as heroes to the people, and while it weakens their military presence, it cements the trust between the Ferelden people and the wardens, that the wardens are heroes that will save them when a threat arises. If you save the keep, then the keep will become an economic powerhouse that will rival Amaranthine, and the wardens will send more recruits to strengthen their military power further in the holding.
This comes at the cost of the people no longer trusting you, and depending on your origin, the nobles start creating rumors that the warden is a blood mage, or that the burning of the city was racially motivated.
Yes, but dwarves being the best race don't encounter any sort of bad rumors. In fact, they are the only two origins immune to blowback. Also, being a man of the people is what POTUS does. And we are not about to be cowards and run away from this army in the city. Besides, saving the city still creates the best outcome, while saving the keep always creates problems.
True, the only reason to save the keep is if you wanted to save the squad, or if you really got attached to Beryl, I guess.
Hey, Zaid did his task, that's all I can ask of him. My beautiful stone walls and Uncle Ogren are safe. That's all I care about.
I'm not even going to try to have him include Anders on the list, but Nathaniel, weren't you just yapping about this being your family's city? Why the hell are you all of a sudden willing to see the city your family built destroyed? I get Valana's reason, she's perfectly valid, but this seems really out of character.
Okay, Valana is definitely not being valid. She just hates humans. If there was one Dalish in the city, she would change her tune. Nathaniel is just a victim of BioWare's fetish of making the moral choices balanced in party decisions to make the choices seem more gray. Anders, Sigrun, and Justice vote for saving the city, while Ogren, Nathaniel, and Valana vote for destroying the city. The reasons Ogren and Nathaniel give sound incredibly uncharacteristic, but that's the cost BioWare makes.
Nathaniel, I can almost understand, but Ogren never shies away from any fight. There's no way he doesn't try to go into the city just to fight the spawn, at least. I mean, just look at how he acted when we brought him to Redcliffe Village. Episode 14 for the viewer's reference.
Oh, so when you shill it's okay, Donald?
Yes, exactly. It's only based when it's me.
I'm certain I've yapped about this before, but it's a trend we see in almost every BioWare game. Even in Mass Effect, the squad mates will often voice split opinions, and it's more glaring in that game because the squad mates will even flip opinions depending on who else is in your party because of the Renegade and Paragon rankings of each squad mate.
Having Rex vouch for sparing the council because you pussy-whipped Kaiden into being Renegade is still a highlight of the series.
Speaking of highlights, I'm not getting too many highlights from this victory lap around the city. It's just the same old darkspawn we've been fighting, and while I'm not seeing any civilians, I am definitely seeing plenty of city guards that the captain was willing to burn alive with the darkspawn. This dude is a damn terrible boss. We need to fire his ass and get someone loyal to his squad.
Well, maybe we can hire the Darkspawn messenger to be our new city captain. I saw you spared him. And I know a lot of our viewers like this guy, so maybe we can give him a new job.
I only took him along so he could be an extra meat shield against the Darkspawn. I'm honestly considering killing him at the end of this city section. Only thing stopping me is I think some people actually like this guy.
Bro, you are not doing the whole city defense section. You are gonna leave me with like 20 minutes of content next episode if you do.
Why not? It's what all the other president YouTubers do. Why don't you figure it out, Sleepy? Besides, I don't plan on doing the whole section. As soon as the game gives me one boss, I'll call it for my time in Awakening.
The messenger is a pretty good guy. He ends up being a hooded vigilante that saves travelers in need around the city. He unfortunately does still spread the taint around the land while saving people, which shows that Darkspawn can't cohabitate with mortals, but even with that small problem, he does far more good than harm.
Him being a discount Batman isn't stopping my trigger finger. He's still a damn Darkspawn. And last I checked, as a Grey Warden, it's our job to kill them. Hell is a proud dwarven noble. We have even more of a reason to kill him for everything his kind has done to our people.
I swear I could almost hear the Uncle Ruckus theme when Donald said his kind.
Yeah, I was just willing to ignore that, being honest, but back to my biggest problem with this segment. It's not the repetitive Darkspawn fights, but rather it's the fact that the gameplay, if we choose to save the keep instead of the city, is far more enriching than saving the city. The battle defending the keep not only has an army wheel the same as the Battle of Denerim, but the army wheel also takes all your choices into consideration when ruling the keep and what upgrades you grabbed. The different variations are almost as varied as the Battle of Denerim, albeit much shorter, but it's still an immaculately crafted level that we only get if we make a flat-out evil decision.
Probably one of the few times Dragon Age rewards the evil playthroughs, besides Orzammar, but I agree, it's an odd design decision. Anyway, what's this guy's problem? All we did was say a little joke.
This guy has the softest damn nerves in the series. He needs to sit down and learn his damn place. We are soloing this Darkspawn army, and if we want to have a little fun while doing so, we damn well will.
Here's another part of this section that really bothers me. I know It's been a non-stop critique of the Amaranthine section, but I promise I will have some positives next episode. The Darkspawn were able to conquer the city easily because they used the smuggler tunnels that we discovered all the way in episode 1, which is also the same way they took over Vigil's keep in episode 1, so at least they're consistent. The problem is that the city guard knew about these tunnels for weeks, since that's when we cleared them for him, and they even went down to the tunnels to dish out supplies to the common people. But after all that time, they never thought to seal them up to prevent the Darkspawn from using them. I mean, we are dealing with a pseudo-blight. The town is painfully aware of this hell. If we sided with the smugglers, we can get a side quest to clear out Darkspawn for the smugglers. So the Spawn were using the tunnels long before this attack, but the guards were so incompetent, they never noticed. Only when we keep the smugglers alive who live in the tunnels do we get anyone who notices the Spawn.
Honestly, Joe, at this point, you might have a point. I would rather have an awakened Darkspawn who can only count to 4 than this incompetent ass guard captain.
Where's Sergeant Kylon when we need him? Tell him we will double what Hal paid him in Daenerys. Also, thank God there's finally a boss. Donald can end the episode before eating up everything in sight like his hungry hippo ass usually does.
Well, next week we have our last episode of Dragon Age Awakening, and we get to make one of the biggest moral decisions BioWare has ever placed in their games. Get excited, viewers.
And just like that, the boss counter is tied between me and Barack. All right, viewers? I know this episode was a long one, and sorry for ending it at an awkward point, but hopefully my fans in the comments will support my dominant grind to win the boss competition. Next episode, Joe will finish up Awakening, and we will have an endgame epilogue where each of us will read the decisions we made, just like we did in Origins. Don't forget to leave a comment down below on your favorite companion in Awakening, and to join the Discord in the description if you want access to video updates or just a chill Dragon Age community. We are also going to have a community poll this week that will decide our Veilguard class and origin, so make sure you subscribe to take part in that vote. But with all that said, thank you for watching. Trump out.